you'll soon find out, much of the video that I have made for us doesn't show my head, but I do have a head still. Look forward to having you guys back. Enjoy this experiment and tell Miss Vanderwood thank you. Good morning, kids. This is my first attempt at being part of this lesson or being part of Miss Vanderwood's lessons. She's putting together great lessons for you, and I appreciate so much what she's done. If you haven't sent a shout out to her, please do. She's working very hard to make sure you guys get some science lessons during the time that we're away. As you can see, I have a little experiment set up. I also set up my cards. One says, our chapter 2 question: what could have caused the births to increase and the deaths to decrease in the moon jelly population? We are talking about organisms needing to release energy from energy storage molecules in order to reproduce. Organisms in consumer populations get energy storage molecules from eating organisms in resource populations. So this may not be smooth, but I'm going to do my absolute best to try to keep up with Miss Vanderwood and her wonderful lessons. Okay, our key concept: organisms need to release energy from energy storage molecules in order to reproduce. Where does this energy come from? Well, energy is stored in our foods. We have carbohydrates, we have starches, we have glucose, which is sugar, and we're going to do something with sugar in a few minutes, okay? Now, the key concept is the more energy storage molecules available to a population, the more the organisms in that population can reproduce. So, based on what we've read, what do organisms need to reproduce? Energy. Okay, we talked a lot about energy flow in our last unit. Energy comes, energy goes, phase change. Think about it. If I'm warm, where's my energy going? It's going to try to heat the whole room. Okay, if you leave the door open, okay, Mom says, "Oh, you're letting all the heat out." Yeah, pretty much. You're actually, the energy is flowing from the higher to the lower, and we know that the warmer it is, the more heat there is, then it's going to flow to the cold. So we know that from the articles that you've read, that in the previous lesson, that reproduction is hard work and requires a lot of energy. Organisms get this energy by releasing it from energy storage molecules. And yes, I'm reading this. This is evidence that organisms are releasing energy from energy storage molecules when they reproduce. When the energy is released from the energy storage molecules, these molecules are used up, so the level in the tank goes down. An energy storage molecule is a molecule that organisms can use to release energy. There are a lot of different types of energy storage molecules. You might be familiar with glucose, sugar, which is a specific type of sugar. Glucose is used to release energy during cellular respiration. Breathe, respiration. Okay, so we have to release energy in order to breathe, in order to live. That's why you have to eat food. Energy storage molecules also include fats. Sorry, nobody told me to suck it in today. And carbohydrates like sugars and starch, like your pasta. All these different types of energy storage molecules are broken down by the body and are used to release energy. Energy storage molecules, such as starches and fats, are too large to pass through the cell walls. And we'll get into that later, I hope. Talking about our cells and how our cells work, because cells are amazing. You got billions of them, but it's a real fun thing to study. When the body needs larger molecules, they are broken down first into glucose, which is again sugar, which does pass through the cell wall. Once inside the cell, this energy storage molecule can be used along with oxygen by the cell to release energy. Energy from the storage molecules is used for other purposes, not just to make reproduction possible. Even when an organism is completely still or asleep, it needs energy and releases it from energy storage molecules. So when you sleep at night, you actually are using energy that you've consumed during the day with the foods that you eat. And hopefully you guys are eating good foods right now. Try to stay away from the Cheetos. That's kind of, I've had a few too many, but we got the naturally baked ones, so I think that's makes it okay. This is because all movement and change requires energy, and we'll talk about the mighty mitochondria soon. That's cool too. That has to do with cells, and we'll get there. This includes processes that are happening all of the time, like your heart beating, okay, or an organism breathing. Again, suck it in, Mr. Melker. Got it. We'll set up an experiment using sugar, an energy storage molecule, to learn more about how energy storage molecules allow organisms to release energy in order to reproduce. We will study the effect of sugar on yeast. We are using yeast molecules because it's a living organism, okay? This yeast I have in the bag here, it's living. So when you're making bread, you're actually putting a living organism into your bread. Weird, huh? The yeast we're using is the same that you can use to make bread. We'll test the effect of giving the yeast a lot of sugar, a little sugar, or no sugar at all to find out what happens. And I guarantee you're going to see a little reaction. So let me go ahead and follow the steps. Here they are. Here's our yeast experiment steps. And here is what yeast reproduction looks like. Yeast reproduction. That means they're making babies, kind of. All right, so let's try this. I'm going to put no sugar in this cup, some sugar in that one, and all right, I'm back. Amplify sends us these nice, cute measuring spoons, but they don't tell us what size is what, or obviously I don't have my glasses on, so I probably can't read it. So I went ahead and grabbed a couple for my kitchen. And so first off, it says in cup A, so we'll call that cup A, B, C, makes sense. 1 pinch in cup B. So let me put that aside. A pinch. You guys ever watch your parents cook, or you ever seen a real good cook? They know how to just throw a pinch of salt or a pinch of this or that, and they make really yummy stuff. And then it says put a teaspoon, and yes, I'm not measuring it properly and I'm not leveling it exactly, but that works. Okay, into each one, and then a tablespoon of yeast. So this yeast came, and remember it's a living organism. So it is living. So I'm going to put a tablespoon of it in each. Okay. Now I'm going to stir it. Obviously I don't probably need to stir this one, but oh well. I will stir this one, make sure the sugar gets mixed in a bit. And then finally mixing up this guy with most sugar. All right, so I'm going to now, I have 3, can't think of the name of them right now, 3 graduated cylinders, thank you, with warm water in them. And so I'm gonna dump it in. Wish you guys were here to do this with us, because we don't often get to do the hands-on experiments. Oftentimes you guys are doing experiments with a simulator or whatever, and which is kind of what you're having to do at home right now. And I'm just mixing them up. Now, the lesson calls for you to walk away and read some articles at this point. And so we're going to take a little break. And when we come back, we're going to see what is transpiring.